I guess we're ready, so please welcome Carla and Mrs. Toody Cole.
Cheers everyone. Great to be back, great to see you all again. So many familiar faces. Kudos, thanks for all the years, all the memories. Kind of what we're going to talk about right now.
Feel free to sit on the floor if you'd like to. So, Toody, before listening to some of those interview snippets from the book, I wanted to talk a bit about your personal history, if you want to call it like that. So,
if I was there, it's personal.
What role did music play in your family and for you when you were growing up?
Well, from the very beginning, once I turned about 14, 15, like probably all of you, I started listening to music. First the Beatles and different American bands, and finally the Rolling Stones, which were it for me. And then started going out to this club in Portland where I met Fred and heard his band, The Weeds, which were very much in that raw style of the early Stones, and was just completely blown away. So from meeting him there in a music venue and falling in love and working at the club they were the house band in and taking tickets at the door and working all these different jobs way before I started playing music. So it's kind of been a big part of my life since way, way back. And even when our children were born and very little, we always lived in a big house with the rest of the band, and they practiced in the basement. And so we just grew up around that the whole time. I didn't actually start playing music until I was like 30. And we started the punk rock, the Rats, together. And ever since then, Fred and I played together, and it's just been the best experience of my life. I started out very shy, but always wanted to be up on stage. And once I finally got there, it took a few years, but once it was comfortable, it's just the most empowering and freeing feeling of being able to do what you do what you love, have other people enjoy it, and make it part of their life. I've been incredibly lucky to have you guys there for all those years. Thank you so much.
Would you have thought that you would become a musician?
Hell no.
What were your expectations?
No, my expectations, the first time Fred told me he wanted to teach me bass, and he did, like, I think 1 week, maybe 2, and taught me some really simple things because he just started playing guitar. Before then, he was just a lead singer. And so he says, okay, we have a gig. I'm like, what? No, I can't do it. He says, oh no, it's just a house party in a friend's living room. There won't be hardly anybody there. It's going to be okay. You have a couple drinks, you'll be fine. And after that, it was just like, okay, where are we going? You know, I would get scared shitless, but you know, hey, you just keep getting up there, you keep getting better, and you keep getting more confidence. And once we started Dead Moon and had that magic combination to where we just seemed to get better and feed off of one another, and which it just made it so much fun, and you just kind of relaxed, didn't worry about it so much, and just had a great time. And that's the band that really put me over the edge and made me love being on stage. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Fred.
So, Fred got you to play in the bass. Did you play an instrument before?
It's funny because the DJ's little daughter was here tonight, and I was telling her through him that I started on piano. She's only 9.5, so she plays piano, but she's writing songs already, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. So I've always loved music, but the only thing I played, this was when I was like 13, 14 years old, was piano. Now all I can remember is the stuff you would practice every day. But after that, nothing.
Yeah. So, but you have 3 children, right?
Yep.
Did you teach
But
them?
they're all over 50, so I don't know if you can call them children anymore.
Well, yes, literally. But did you ever teach them to play an instrument?
No, well, Amanda picked up clarinet and something else and played in band at school. But music was just something we never wanted to push them into. And they were kind of around it all the time, so for them it was kind of nothing special. And as every kid pretty much wants to be different than their parents and go their own way, that's what they did. So as I look at them and see how they are, there's a piece of me in Amanda. There's a whole bunch of Fred in her. The same, Wheaton's more like me, our middle son. And Shane is this great combination of all of our business sense and looking to the future and planning and things like that. So they kind of, we're both in there, but they're all 3 completely different, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah, true. So, I really want to know the story behind your nickname Toody. Your nickname Toody.
Oh,
that's not how you.
Again, this started in high school. I went to a Catholic school, which was all girls, no boys. And so it was a time, my real name is Kathleen. So of course I grew up with Kathy, which I hate. Don't call me that. So almost all the girls were named either Linda, Sue, or Kathy. So I would be in a class and there were 5 other Kathys in my class. And at some point it just got irritating. So one of my girlfriends, I always thought I was smart. Hello, of course. And always knew the answer. So I would always go, like call on me, teacher. And at the time there was an old TV show in the US called Car 54, Where Are You? And they had an officer, Toody, who would always go, ooh, ooh, ooh. So my girlfriend started calling me Toody. And I thought, oh, this is great. Now I have a special name. And when I first met Fred at the folk singer, I was there with one of my best girlfriends. We would go and help them clean up and, you know, whatever. And so she always called me that. So he knew me by that name. And at some point, everyone in my family, including my mother, called me Toody. So when she got very old, she asked me my permission. Is it okay if I call you Kathleen again? I go, Mom, really? So if anybody asks my real name, now I don't use Kathy, of course, but Kathleen is okay.
Okay, but you're just Toody to us. Yeah, now that we were speaking of names, I think we're ready for the first snippet.
When Toody and I were doing our country shit, and we've been playing all these mining towns down through Nevada and California for 3 months during the summer and living in the van, in our old van. And the moon was coming up over this hill and it was just bloody red. And I go, oh, Toody, I got the perfect name for this band. Blood Moon. And Toody goes, oh my God, that's horrible. And I go, what? It's perfect. Blood Moon. Just think about it. She goes, I am thinking about it.
I go, think of something else.
Look at that coming up. I've never seen a moon. So it was totally bright red almost. Looked like
he was raving about that for about the next, I don't know,
I'm driving
20, 30 miles.
with the
and then
moons.
we got silent again, and then he's like, what do you
How
think
about
of
Dead Moon? And
I
she
go,
goes,
bingo, ringo.
that's
let's go.
pretty fucking cool. And then I go, okay, cool. Dead Moon.
Yeah,
and
he's
then
like,
I started
oh
thinking,
man, 2 words, they're each 4 letters,
Yeah.
just like Fred Cole. Oh my God, 8's my lucky number.
Yeah.
It was like, all the elements were there.
And then I started thinking, okay, how does a dead moon look? Then I ran it by Kelly when we got back, and I said, man, okay, I was thinking about like putting the skull together, making it look like a moon or something like that, and thinking, He loves to draw clowns. So the first one we had looked like a fucking clown with a...
It looked like, kind of a gnarly version of the Man on the Moon, but still soft and curvy and whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
this looks like a friendly little fucking dwarf, you know. We went around and around. He kept bringing pictures. Every night he'd go home and draw something and bring it to me.
each
How
time
about
Fred
this?
would go, no, gnarlier.
And I go, no. And then I'd go home and think about it. And then he'd go home and mess around with it. And finally, he goes, what about this? And I go, that's it. And
He goes, this is a little over the top, but I don't know, maybe this is what you have in
this
mind.
This is totally, well, there's a couple changes I want to make.
No,
Kelly, don't
no,
touch a fucking thing. That's it, okay? I grabbed the artwork out. I said, man, I'm going to Xerox it. Because if you go home and change it, we'll never see that again. So it ended up like that.
Wow, great story.
Yeah, and true.
And like we heard, you were actually playing country, you and Fred. How come you wanted to do something different?
Well, we were doing the Rats, a punk rock band, for about 8 years. And at one point, our drummer at the time, Louis Zamora, quit and started his own band. He was drumming, but he always wanted to be the guitar player, and he wrote songs. So it was fine, so that kind of fell apart. And then Fred just decided to do something different. That was kind of always his way. If something disappointed him that badly, and he really expected that band to do something, and it kind of never did. So once that happened to him, he would just like go off on a completely different thing. So he started Western Front. And out of that, I started coming up on stage at different points. I didn't play in that band, but would come up and sing old country songs. And then, later on, that kind of morphed back into when we did the Range Rats and recorded that album and never released it until it came out, I don't know, like 15 years later through Mississippi Records. But it was really cool stuff to do. It really changed the way that we kind of looked at a lot of songs, and was kind of a prelim for a lot of the songs that he wrote later on at Dead Moon, like Dead in the Saddle. And, you can still hear that influence a little bit.
And the band and the logo turned out to become something really epic. And needless
Well,
to say,
we had no idea at the time, but just seeing it, and still seeing it now, it's one of those things where you immediately know what band that is, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And again, I've talked to several people here tonight and at different times that say still now, they see someone walking down the street with that shirt, it's like, oh, I'd like to talk, I'd like to meet you, yes. And you have that in common. And it really makes it an amazing, family thing. And it's really incredible that we never expected or counted on.
Yeah, so that's it. That is called, could you notice from those first moments on, the story with the band name we just heard and the logo that you were involved in something
and
very
especially
special?
once we came to Europe, and we knew different bands back in the States that were starting to tour too. And they'd come back, especially the bands from Seattle, which were really big at the time. Steve Turner and Mark Goralnick from Mudhoney especially. And they'd come home and go, what the fuck? I look out in the audience and there's nothing but Dead Moon shirts out there. What are you guys doing? I'm like, sorry, what?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Went out great. So, how does it feel to you to be an underground icon to people when you actually never wanted to be stars yourself?
Well, really amazing, and it's not like I was the first or the last, but when we first started touring in the early 90s, there weren't that many women up on stage, and so it was kind of an amazing thing for me, and back home in the U.S. as well. Just being like 10 to 15 years older than most everybody else that was playing, there was just a lot of women especially that would come, or young girls starting to play, that would come and ask me for advice or whatever. And so feeling like a mentor to the other women especially that were starting on their career and taking that leap and loving it so much and making them feel empowered to do that was always really important to me. And still do that to this day. Keep it up, man. It just gets better.
Look at Portland, Oregon. Could you notice like a difference between the 80s, 90s, and now in the Portland music scene?
Yeah, like everything, it's changed. I mean, the worst thing for everybody was when dance and raves happened. But at this point, especially, I don't know whether it's due to COVID and the fact that nobody could see live music for a long time. So now it's like everyone is coming out again and getting excited about seeing a live band up on stage, which is the way, luckily for us, it was when we were doing it. So, and that, you know, that electricity from the audience when they're there for all the right reasons and just having a great time, and it's becoming a part of their lives and their memories. There's nothing like it. So really glad to see that happening again, and that's kind of coming back everywhere. In Portland as well. The style has changed, much more digital things going on. It's not as raw as it used to be, but you know, hey, doesn't matter. It's what you'll grow up with, what you will remember, and that's what's important. It's what you'll love your whole life. For me, I started out with the real raw rock and roll and rhythm and blues background, and that will always sound the best to me. But hey, that's my life, not yours.
Would you say that you are the stars of the Portland music scene, or who's your favorite?
Well, I used to be. People still come out if I guest sing with someone, and it still feels so incredibly good to get up on stage, I can't tell you. But it's like that part of my life has kind of come and gone. It's up to the other musicians that are up and coming. Like Fred said, there's a new kid on the block, and he's taking my place. So, and that's the way it should be. So, I'm well known in Portland, but it's really funny at this point for me to be around kids that are young enough to where they have never heard of Dead Moon, they haven't a clue who I am, you know, unless their parent or older brother or sister knows of the band, and then they know it. And what kills me, like whether it was this DJ's daughter or other kids that I've met, there's many of them that hear our music, and even though it's, what, over 30 years old, they still relate to it, they still like it, and never expected anything that we were doing to be that timeless. It's pretty incredible. So, yeah.
Let's get a bit deeper into this timeless story.
I warned you.
No, I really love it. Yeah.
First time I remember seeing him, and it just stuck in my head. I thought, oh, flamboyant motherfucker, cool. And I go, hey, dude, man, you know, I saw you playing drums, and it'd be really cool if you want to jam with me and Toody. And just sat there with his eyes wide open. He didn't say anything to me. I thought, man, is this guy stupid or what? And I'm on and on. I'm going, man, okay, I can come in and pick you up and whatever. Just give me a call if you're interested and this and that. I get home and I just blew it off. I thought, well, the guy's not, is either brain dead or he's whatever. You know, and actually I asked his brother, because I thought his brother was him, because they look so much alike.
Really
so the next thing I hear about is that he goes to Andrew and he goes, oh my God, it was so embarrassing. Fred wants me to play drums for him. I think he thinks I was you, because I was so flabbergasted, I didn't even know what to say to him. I think he thinks I'm really stupid because I'm just sitting there, you know, like, whoa, you know, and I didn't know what to say to him. I didn't want to tell him it wasn't you, or so you should give him a call. And Andrew goes, oh, fuck yeah. So we had practice with Andrew playing country. Oh, what a fucking disaster. We tried all kinds of weird country beats, or not even weird, just straight ahead shit.
It's just one of those you could never quite get, you know?
And he'd go, bum, you know, whatever. And I go, oh man, that is so fucking not right. Okay, have you ever heard country? He goes, yeah, I love country. You know, I go, well, you should listen to the drummers. You know, since you play drums, it would be a good idea if you're going to play country to listen to the drummers because that's what you're going to be doing. He goes, yeah, okay, well, and I go, yeah, okay, well, hang on, we're going to fuck around a bit. We'll think about it. And then we finally decided, fuck this shit. Let's just play some old rock and roll shit. No originals, just you know, just
our
copy
plan at
shit.
first was just to do nothing but cover songs, and that's pretty much what we did.
And I said, man, let's try that Andrew dude out again, because I know he can play just something really basic like bap, bap. Okay, so we stuck with some really simple shit, and he was real solid on that shit. You know,
I think we all instinctively knew it right off the get-go, and even it became like a marriage right off the bat. Even when shit got rocky and people got pissed off and this and that, there was never a consideration that was going to be anything other than a minor setback.
It's a real bitch to keep a band together. I mean, you know, even 3 people.
You know, thank God Andrew's in the band. My God, the man was magic with working a crowd. Oh my God, and he loved it.
Yeah.
It's like he couldn't get enough. Most of our contact was, whoever Andrew thought was interesting or whatever. It's like, come on back. Want to meet Mom and Dad? So thank God we had each other. We just go and hide and whatever. Hey, take over, Andrew. See you on stage.
Do your thing.
Yeah. And
He was our
Andrew
missing link.
He was the top of the pyramid, and we together, the 3 of us, were just incredibly strong.
So, now you had Andrew in the band, and you and Fred, you were 30 when you started playing with Dead Moon? Is that right?
No, we were about 35-ish then.
Okay, but Andrew was 13
He's like 13 years younger, yeah.
Were there moments when the age difference played a role?
Not really, because he was like, he came from a family of 7, and he was one of the younger kids. So he was kind of used to somebody older than him telling him what to do all the time. And, and kind of needed that direction. And he happens to be basically the same age as my youngest brother, Kevin. They were both born in 61. So for us, for me and Fred, it always felt like we were taking care of younger brothers and sisters anyway. And so he was right there, another brother from another mother.
So it fitted. So then you were the 3. What did a Dead Moon rehearsal look like?
If and when they happen, it was after, X amount of times of, oh man, I don't want to do that tonight, or Andrew would be flaking, not be there. They would be short and sweet. We pretty much only got together when Fred had written a new song that we were going to go record or wanted to work up to be on stage. And then we'd probably go through it 3 times, 4 maybe. And we all hated practicing. Oh, and we hated the studio even worse. Sorry. But, Fred's whole thing always was, fuck it, that's good. You got the part, it's cool, we'll learn it on stage. And we pretty much did. Because he understood that with any band, and especially a band like Dead Moon, it needs to be played live in front of people to become the song that it will be. And which is why so much of our live stuff sounds faster, harder, more intense, give it a name, than what we had on record. And that's just the way it should be. You need to have that energy to push it out there.
So speaking of rehearsals, not rehearsing, did you have some kind of songwriting routine?
Hell no.
Was that also happening on
with
stage?
songwriting, it just comes. There's a lot of stuff, especially some of the spookier stuff, that Fred would dream and then write a song about it. Some of his stuff was really dark and very spooky. And then other things, he would just kind of go, just have all this stuff come at the same time and just go on a writing binge and stay up all night and just write songs and then sometimes put them on tape so he would remember. And if he could remember them, sometimes he wouldn't. If he could remember them the next day and play them for me, then he knew it was a keeper, okay? Something that he wanted to mess with. A lot of times it was just a little lick, and he would put it away and use it in a song 5 years later. It was just all ideas, and he never knew where they came from. he used to love people asking him, do you, you know, he goes, no, it's not a job. You don't sit down and purposely go, oh, I'm going to write a song. It just comes, and it's a special talent that I always envy because I can't do it. But for him, it just came easy. And there were long spells where he couldn't write anything. And sometimes he would write shitloads. So, just happened.
Impressive. So, but then, yeah, you've been around a lot. I mean, you played Europe, you played the US, of course, you played Australia, New Zealand. Like, could you tell us a bit about those touring experiences and maybe differences between those continents? Like,
well, the most amazing one for me, besides the first time we came to Europe, but we went to New Zealand first in, I think, 92, 94. And at that point, they were still a little backward and totally into hardcore punk, and I mean hardcore punk. So everybody thought we were going to bomb like crazy, and they put us as the opener for this Australian band called the Hard Ones. The Hard-Ons. We call them the Hard Ones. You know, decent band, but God, what wimps. And we're like, oh my God. You know, so the New Zealand punk rockers loved us. We're right up on the front of the stage. You hit us with a mic, pick it up and keep singing. They thought it was just too fucking cool. And we had such a great time. The country itself is gorgeous. It looks like the cross between the rockiest coast I've ever seen and something, you know, from primeval times, prehistoric trees, and it's just strange. It's really beautiful and incredibly different. And it was great going to Australia, but New Zealand always impressed me the most. It's kind of become very calm in California like now, but when we were there, oh, it was awesome.
but I mean, how come you get there? Somebody has like said, oh, I want a Dead Moon play here, also Europe.
But that's another funny story. It was actually a couple of guys from Switzerland who sent a cassette tape. They were from Sheep Records, and they sent a cassette to this guy, John Baker, and he loved the cassette, and it was kind of floating around, and he got a hold of us. I don't even remember how, and he's the one that brought us there, and went on later to be the manager for the White Stripes when they first came on.
And how did you come to Europe? Like, how did you get out of the US?
After here, I'm going back to Vera in Groningen, which kind of became our hometown in Europe. And the guy who managed the club there was celebrating a 10-year anniversary of managing the club. And I'm not even sure how he heard of us. But he heard the music and he loved it, and he had us come just for that one show. And we were like, really? Because the city would give them money for this special occasion. And we had a great show, a great time. Loved the town, loved the people. Really won Peter over big time. And so after that, every time we would come back, we would always play at Vera. And it just kind of became our starting place. We'd either start a tour there with a free gig and end it with a gig in the main room upstairs. And just became our second home. So that's how we started over there. And a lot of it too was because of Greg Sage. He happened to run into Hans Kessler, who did the Music Maniac records, and Hans from the Wipers, yeah. And Hans asked Greg Sage, who was coming into our music shop all the time, he was still living in Portland then, to ask Fred if he wanted to do a record or do anything, you know. So that's how that happened.
And can you remember the longest tour that Moon ever played? Like,
yeah, thanks, Rude. We went on like a 6-week tour. It was extremely long, and this is when we were actually playing 2 hours every night. And Rude got this offer from some festival. I don't remember where it was. Greece, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, and they wanted to pay us buku money, and we thought, oh man, we'll have to change our plane ticket. I'm ready to go home. But we finally agreed to do it, and that was just one show too many. Oh my God. So, but every time that we would come on tour, Fred loved challenges, and he loved raising the bar on all of us. And at different points, it just got harder and harder and harder. And boy, you better keep up.
And did you ever have post-tour depressions?
Oh, no. It's funny. It's kind of like giving birth. You go, Jesus Christ, that was hell. God, I want to do it again. And I speak from experience.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's hear about the first Dead Moon gigs.
Our first gig was at Long Goodbye. So the guy that was running the place, I go, hey man, you know, we used to play here when it was, you know, a happening club. And the guy goes, oh yeah, no problem, man. I can work you in on a Monday night, which was the worst night of the week, comedy night. Okay, nobody came except the comedians themselves and their girlfriends. Okay,
If they had one.
you talk about some unfunny motherfuckers. That's some of the worst jokes I've ever heard in my life. Dumb as shit. So we'd get there and wait through all these fucking guys. And to begin with, I mean, there was only like 20 people there to start out with. That was a highlight. By the time we'd play, there'd be like nobody there, you know, or maybe two people, or one or two people. And they were only because they were desperate for a beer, and there was no place else close by. Heard like 4 or 5 of our songs, and then, hey, you guys are pretty good, man. You know, but you need a guitar player, you know, a lead guitar player. Yeah, tell me about it, you know, but whatever, fuck you. We did it for a whole month, every Monday night for a month. And by the time we got done, we had built the crowd up to like, I think 20, 25 people finally had come to see us play. And we had this one chick that was out in the front. Dead Moo! Dead Moo! I love Dead Moo! It's
guys are
Dead
out right now.
Moon. Dead Moo! I love Dead Moo! The fucking nightmare.
So at that point, it was easier just to have a gig to play in, and then once we, I don't know, it seems like we've been together, I think, around 6 months or so, once we started throwing in some original stuff, and some of it was just left over, like, in the graveyard.
And then people go, man, that AC/DC song you guys do is really cool. And I go, yeah, which one's that now? You know, the one that goes to in the graveyard. I go, that's not an AC/DC song. Yes, it is. I have it on one of my AC/DC albums. And I go, really? Really? I'd love to know which one it is.
And Toody, how do you remember the very first Dead Moon gig?
Oh, they were horrific, like most bands' first gigs are. But that makes for great stories, great talk in the back room, because trust me, I love it when that the other bands have paid their dues, and they realize that you have too. Everybody starts out way down here. And those gigs are necessary, and again, it's one of those things to where you don't feel so pressured and threatened to basically practice on stage, which is what it takes to get a band together and tight, decide if the song's working, if the band members you have are working. So those gigs are kind of necessary when you're first starting out. And they're the ones you never forget. I don't know why. Half the time, the really great ones, you remember the really great ones and the ones like that.
And were there many people at the beginning who tried to give you good advice, like you need a lead guitar player? Or
Did you never met Fred. He doesn't take advice, okay? My way on the highway, let's go. This is it. You know, you don't like it?
But were there many people who tried?
No, I don't know. I mean, he used to hear that you need a good guitar player all the time. Or you guys would come up to him, which really irritated him, and go, oh, I can play a great lead. Can we go into the studio? And he'd be like, no. What? And as I listened back, part of the reason that we had such a unique sound and a lot of the guitar parts are so incredibly different is because Fred was completely self-taught and didn't learn the right way to play guitar. It was just whatever came. Used a lot of drone, used partial chords a lot, and so it just became a completely different style. And thank God for that. You know, the only way to stand out.
I think this AC/DC comparison is so
We
weird.
paid AC/DC back because once we started doing It's a Long Way to the Top, we heard out later rhythm actually in Long Way to the Top on record is backwards. We played the rhythm exactly the opposite of the way they did. So hey, you know, it's our own.
How did you actually, I mean, like I said, you had a family, you had 3 kids, and you had to keep the household together, but then you also had a band, you started touring. How did you fucking do that? That's like,
We're workaholics.
3 people.
I mean, at one point we had 3 businesses going. Our kids were finally old enough to be out of the house, but we were touring, keeping 3 businesses operating, and you know, and putting records out. So you know, and working our music store. So it was just, you know, we both needed something to do all the time, and it's just I don't know, it's just something that's in you, and if you have that, you just need to be busy and be doing something all the time. So it wasn't that difficult.
Hey, sounds like,
And besides, there was 2 of us then to do it, okay? That makes a big difference.
okay, that's good. Yeah, so like, I'm just like, you started playing in that comedy club, like we just heard. But how did people actually find you? How did you get out of this?
Just word of mouth, which is always the best way to go. And at some point, that club he's talking about, The Long Goodbye, he talked the owner into letting other punk bands and other people play, and we started a thing in the basement, and he started bringing different bands from all over the West Coast. Black Flag played there, the Subhumans, DOA would come down from Canada, and we did a lot of shows in that venue, and it became like the rock and roll joint in town, which was awesome. But that's where it started.
Usually 3 mics.
You know?
Mics that work are the best. Mics that pick up sound. you
Yeah.
know. One on the kick drum, one between the snare and the hi-hat, and then an overhead to cover the floor tom and the other cymbal. To me, that's optimum drums, because that's all you really need to hear.
Like
I
a
found these
biscuit
really
mic,
cheap
you know.
square biscuit mics. $39 I
pretty
found
good.
these things, and I got about 6 of them. They work beautiful for kick drum and
Bass.
bass. They work killer.
We experimented, but there's a lot of different stuff that we just got so used to using 58s, especially for vocals, and learning how to work the mic, that for us and our ears and what we were used to ourselves sounding like, that's usually what we just kept going back to all the time.
Andrew was in the practice room where top-down practices. We used to put Toody's bass in the bathtub, and I was in with the tape recorder in the other room.
We experimented with headphones, but
And then they kept falling off everybody's head. Then it had the duct tape thing where
that's because the
there was duct
headphones we
tape.
had are ones Fred found at the Goodwill.
And
so you can
then-
imagine, okay?
When I'm trying to talk to them, nobody could hear me because they had the headphones on, and we couldn't get them off because we had duct tape running around, and it was sticking your hair, and we had to take scissors and cut the duct tape off and look one hair up.
We did it
It was
more like
fucking ridiculous.
live recording off the floor
Yeah.
with scratch vocals so that we could, you know.
I didn't have any lyrics to Dagger Moon.
He pretty much had the
So-
the line "Release me from your wire, Dagger Moon," because
Yeah.
that was the inspiration. But
I said, man, let's just play this fucking thing and see what happens. That was the first take, and that was my fake vocals.
he
And I
went-
go, oh my
then he went
fucking
back
God,
and
what did I
went-
sing?
He goes, "It sounds like I'm saying blah blah blah."
We had to
That's
put
close
it-
enough. We'll use that.
Yeah, so why was it so important to you actually to record yourself? Because like with the Reds, you were in the studio, right?
Fred's a total control freak. And at some point, we had gone into some studio, I don't remember, but at some point he just wanted to do everything himself from beginning to end, including cutting the masters, which on the lathe that we had up there a minute ago, just so he would get it exactly the way he wanted it. Because everyone would tell him, no, you're doing it wrong, you have to do it this way, you must put reverb on, you must. And that just made him want to do it his way even more. So that's what he got, and it worked for all of us. We had the space in our house and our music store to be able to do it, and you weren't looking at the clock going, okay, there goes another 40 euro, So it just worked for us, and it was just easy. We could do it whenever we were in the mood, have enough songs, and and wanted to come to Europe. That was our incentive 90% of the time. Because we hear, especially from everyone in Germany, oh, you must have a new LP. Where's the new record? Really? Yeah. So, yeah, our booker especially. So that was the thing. You have to get all new songs together and enough for a new LP before you can tour.
Okay, but then did you know how to do it yourself? Or were you just experimenting?
Again,
like, okay, this
self-taught, he figured it out.
Okay.
Yeah, he just figured it out. He's really good at that. And, you know, back then everything was so simple. It's just like, started out doing stuff on a 4-track machine and then went to an 8. So, really simple.
So what would you say are the benefits about being all DIY and what is maybe challenging? Is that something challenging?
There's good things about it and bad things about it. For us, it just happened to be the way we wanted to do it, and especially the way Fred wanted to do it. And hey, it was his band. So, you know, and for Andrew and I, we were just happy to be along for the ride. And we knew, especially at the early parts of Dead Moon, that part of the reason we were getting asked to do so many of these things was because of Fred singing in the Weeds and the Lollipop Shop way back in the 60s. And at that time, all the retro 60s stuff was really big here. And that was a big part of why we were accepted right off the bat, was because of his history.
So I've also heard about that disc cutter you used, which was also used by the Kingsmen for the
It was used by their manager worked at a local radio station, and back then there was no tape. They used to have to cut their advertisements, their jingles and things on this machine. So it was there in the radio station, and their manager had them come in after they had learned Louie Louie and cut a demo basically on that machine.
And then you got it. But how?
Yeah, many years later.
What's the story behind that? Like,
It ended up in the basement of a recording studio, and Fred he found out about it, I don't remember how, and he hounded these guys for almost a year that he wanted to buy it. And they said, no, it's broken, it's in pieces, it's in 7 boxes, and we don't know how to put it back together. And so he finally gave up. And it was coming his birthday, so I thought, I'll try. I gave him a call. I don't know whether it's because it was a girl asking, but the guy said, yeah, sure, yeah, come get it. And so I arranged to get it and whatever, and he was just like, oh my God. It took him 2 months to figure out how to put it together. It took him another month to make any noise out of it. And it took a couple months after that, and then we did Parchment Farm.
but really, like, so simple. Just let the girl ask. Okay.
They can't say no.
True. Yeah, but yeah, I'm also here tonight because a great book about Dead Moon gets re-released. And I would like to know, how did you feel when it first got released? Because Simone told me that you never wanted to have a look before it got released. So that must have been a very...
It was incredible and amazing. And Fred and I both love telling stories, and we meet different people, and they go, you guys ought to write a book. And we go, hey, if a book ever happens, somebody else will do it. So that's how that kind of came about between Simone and Eric at Mississippi Records and a couple people in Portland. They put in all the work. They had the dream. They had the vision. They did Kickstarter and got the money from all over to finance that first book with the records in it. And when I first saw it, I was overwhelmed. It's like, here's your life. And the stories, and you know, they did a lot of interviews, but they did a beautiful, beautiful job of putting everything together. And Simone put so much work into it. She came and would stay with us over the summer. She spent one whole summer going through all the photos and all the posters and all the things we stored in our attic. And she's the one that came up with how, as a marketing artist, how to put everything together. But if it hadn't been for her, I don't know if it ever would have happened. And it's really incredibly amazing. And I'm thrilled to be able to share it with all of you. It's incredible. Very cool.
Very good book.
Yeah.
You should buy it. Thank you so much. I would say we have like plenty good bands coming up.
Yep.
was just seemed to be overnight. I know it wasn't, but it just seemed like from one year to the next was just like night and day. And just about every place. And a lot of it was just the fact that, man, we were playing so much and we got so tight and we were just, I don't know, on the right wavelength, having a great time, you know, playing together and all the, and that carried over to the audience. The electricity that was going on upstage carried over to the audience and just went back and forth and just created this amazing feeling for everybody. The fact that we played right up in front, right to the edge of the stage, right at people's faces, that just made such an impact on audiences. And they just immediately felt a part of the whole thing, a part of the band, and it was just an amazing experience for everybody.
We'd have guys getting there early. As soon as the band before us was done, and Andrew planted his kick drum right in the front of the stage, there'd be guys fighting over who could stick their head in Andrew's kick drum. And they'd lay their heads inside his kick drum while we were playing for the whole gig. They'd have contests. They'd go, oh my God, I had a headache for a week. Or the big rumor was that, you know, we played until the candle burned out, you know. About 4 guys come lugging in this fucking candle that was about 2 feet tall and a foot around with this huge wick coming out of the top of it. It looked like a fucking bomb. They bring it in to the fucking venue and put it up the stage. You play till the candle burns out!
Yeah.
Man, like, fuck!
Right.
Man, they'd be like, the fucking guys are crazy, you know? And I think it was Eric that actually...
Probably.
And Eric goes, oh my God. He goes, you will not believe how many people sent me pictures of their Dead Moon tattoos from all over the fucking world.
It means they're part of the family, and everybody needs that, and that's just how we came off, as a family. We all look so much alike. We look like we're brothers and sisters. It really kills me to go back and see those vintage photos and see just how much alike we really was. And it just came off like I don't know, a thing that you just really wanted to be a part of, just everybody that you met early on, and that was just one way to do it, you know, one way to show your loyalty and all the rest of it. And we just met these amazing clutches of people that were, you know, just really inspiring to us as well, you know, for their organization and their camaraderie and their volunteering and making the music scene happen in their area, and really supporting, encouraging, and promoting different bands that they thought were worth it. It really made a big difference in our career. Without most of these people, we would never have, I don't think, gotten to know them.
So we have like 10 minutes time for Q&A with Toody. Is there someone who has a question for her? Maybe?
So if anybody has a question that I haven't already answered,
I have a mic.
you are welcome. Be brave. What? Another Dead Moon shirt? Come on.
Love it. Do you think like raw times of rock and roll will come back ever?
Everything comes around. I mean, seriously, it just does, which is really cool, because again, with each style of music that comes and goes, there's always the next generation that discovers it. It's like how the 60s thing kind of came back. And they listen and they go, oh man, I should have been there. I was only 2, you know, and then they decide, and then they start playing covers of those, and you know, it's how everything happened. It's how, like for the Rolling Stones, they heard all these old blues guys and started covering their songs. And the funniest thing was that it was the British that kind of let the Americans know how cool their music history was, okay? And really pushed
and you talked about the pre-7-inch. Today it's finished. It was finished a long time ago, but there's a shirt and a tape. Sweet! I hope you enjoy. Thank you for your visit.
I'm starting to lose mine.
Me too.
Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you. That's awesome. Keep on, keep it on.
Next one, please. Come on.
Oh, they're ready for some music. God damn it, girl. I'm boring the shit out of them. But it's okay. We love you anyway. Thank you. Stick around. No, what? Oh, one more. Sorry about that. Hi. Hey, hi.
I was wondering if there are any current bands that are inspiring to you right now.
I wish I listened to more new music, and what I do hear is mostly bands in Portland. There's a new band that kind of does a country kind of thing, but it's very heavy and very different. They're called Bone Lit Rose, and I really, really like what they're doing and their style. I still never know what bands I'm just going to really love listening to, and when I hear them it's like, oh yeah. But anything that's got a passion and intensity and energy, I'm going to dig it, not a problem. And you wait, all these bands tonight that are doing Dead Moon covers, I was here at Soundcheck, they all sound fantastic. I'm laughing because I go, hey, you guys play that song better than we did. What? So, you know, I think you'll really enjoy it. It's going to be a very nice selection of different songs.
Anyone else?
Are we done? Are we done? Sweet. All right, thank you guys so much for showing up.